Greetings, everyone. Can you all hear me even back where the fountain is? Okay. We love the fountain. We know it's a little loud. Could you just join me in a brief moment of silence while we all collectively gather our memories and our thoughts? Thank you so much. My name is Julie Martyn Donato, and along with my sister Jean, we are lucky to be the children of Charlie Martyn. And I just want to talk a little bit about my dad, and then I'm going to introduce everyone that comes up or speaks, because we also have a live stream today. Turns out my dad has friends all over, and there are people watching the live stream right now, and then there are people who will watch it later because it will be on YouTube. We will be showing a film today, and I want to let you know that if you have any trouble hearing or seeing it, and that goes for you on the live stream as well, it will be put up on YouTube later, so you can enjoy it later. And I see a lot of faces that are here today that are actually in some part of this film. So there will be a lot to enjoy in that. One of my friends said to me after he read my father's biography, "How could one person be all that and do all that?" And I said, well, that was my dad. It was just the way he was. And he said, but he did all this with a career in West Virginia? I said, absolutely. And he said, well, it sounds like he should have been in New York or LA or some big city, maybe San Francisco where he grew up. And I said, you know, I think my dad was exactly where he needed to be, because that little town in West Virginia needed every skill that he had. If he had gone to a major university and conducted a symphonic band or run a marching band or something like that, he would have stepped into a job that had everything created and had an infrastructure already there, and I don't think he would have been happy at all. Instead, he went to a little town in West Virginia that had a very small music department, and he built a powerhouse and a dynasty of people who are still out in the world teaching. And this made him use all of his talents, probably things he didn't even know he had when he started, because he knew he was a great musician and he knew he was a great band leader. But he was an underdog as he grew up, and he went into a place that was kind of the underdog. You know, West Virginia, sometimes people are a little disparaging of West Virginia, and he went in there and said, these people are just as good as people anywhere else. And these players can be just as good as anybody anywhere else. And he took people who were inexperienced and didn't have the advantages of all kinds of things that we have in bigger cities, and he gave them those advantages, and he figured out how to do it so that he built a musical dynasty that is still going on throughout America. His students are all over the South, the Southeast, actually all over the country. There's one like an hour away from here that is a band director too. So they made it everywhere because he made it where he was. He decided he needed this band. He had to do fundraising to get uniforms, to get music, to get instruments. He was not just a fundraiser, he was a friend raiser, and that's how he accomplished things. One of the early stories that he told about going to Montgomery and starting the band was that people in Montgomery took notice of what was going on up on that hill at West Virginia Tech. And one of the bank presidents, J.W. Riccardi, called him into his office and he said, I want you to come to this meeting at the bank. And my dad said, okay. And he walked in to the boardroom, and all the leadership of the town was there. And my dad was a little surprised, a little intimidated maybe. And he said, Charlie, I want you to tell these people what you need. And he made a list, and they came up with the money. So not only did he have the community support and the college support, everybody wanted to be a part of this because he was doing so much. So we are thankful that he ended up in a little tiny town in West Virginia, and that we got to grow up in this little tiny town in West Virginia. And my sister, my mom, and I really remain thankful for everything that my dad did, was, and gave us. And we are all heartbroken, it is true, because he was a larger-than-life personality. He was a force of nature and a force to be reckoned with, and he leaves a big hole not being in our physical lives, but we have so many memories. And I want to just say that hearing how positive he was the last few months made me not surprised when my mother, who of course is grieving, one of the first things she said early on was, I am so fortunate I had 64 years with him. And she's looking on the positive side and thinking about the good that she had, and that was amazing to hear. My sister and I are incredibly thankful because the timing just worked out for both of us. My dad started going downhill pretty much in January of this year, and he was hospitalized in April. And when my mom actually asked Jean to come out and help, Jean's schedule was such that she got on a plane the next day and she was here. She was here for weeks until she had to go home and start getting everything ready to move here. And our plans kept getting changed, and we kept trying, and we'd go to plan B, plan C. I think we're on plan H or L now. I don't know. There are a lot of different things that have happened. But Jean had that time here with Mom and Dad. And she had that time with him when he was in a rehab and really needed her to be there and really needed somebody to encourage and uplift him. And then when she was gone and he ended up in another rehab, she got me here. And my husband and I have been here for now 7 weeks. And I think we're going home this week, but Plan M could happen. I don't know. I also do want to mention, I do have COVID, so I won't be hugging everybody as much as I want to. But I'm according to CDC guidelines, I'm okay to be out and I can just wear a mask for the next few days. And I was so careful that nobody in the house with me got it before I left for the hotel. And if anybody gets it now, it's not my fault. Because it's been so many days. So I have been so careful. So we are all thankful for those things. And I want to just tell you a couple other things about my dad that I don't think anybody else would be surprised by, but I was lucky enough to see. He was really concerned about me being gone so long this summer because he knows that I'm self-employed and I'm a teacher and I work in the summer and I teach private lessons and music. And I said, oh no, Dad, it's okay. I saved up for this. And he said, oh, smart. You taught me, Dad. And then I told him, Jeannie helped me because she helped with the transportation. And he said, that Jean, because he was so proud of both of us. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, Jean is fabulous. And there's no better sister. But you just remember, Jean did not come out of the womb handing anybody money. You created a family of love and steadfast devotion. And he created that also. My friend also said, your dad could have played anywhere with anybody. And I said, yeah, but he actually made a conscious choice that he wanted to do what he did in West Virginia. He had plenty of other offers. One of them was to tour with Stan Kenton and be a permanent member of the band. And there were plenty of other people along the way. But he said, no, I want to have a family life, and you don't get that kind of a life when you're touring as a musician. So it was just a very conscious decision on his part, which not all people make. They sort of drift into one thing or another. But he knew what he wanted, and he went after it. And it was a beautiful thing when we figured it all out. You know, to hear that as a child, I don't know that it registered with me so much, but to hear that as an adult and know that someone wanted their family, that they gave up plenty of other big opportunities like that to do what he did, it means the world. So I just want to say also that my parents were very united as parents. There was never any of this, oh, mom said no, so we're going to go with dad. Because dad would say, well, what did your mother say? And if we did the same thing in the opposite direction, he'd say, or mom would say, what did your father really say? And we couldn't do that. They were incredible parents together, and they were also funny and fun. And they took us on numerous road trips. We were all over the eastern part of the United States to Michigan. We drove cross country. But I want to share with you guys what my dad did to punish us if we got out of control in the car. Because this is so typical Charlie Martyn. He knew that Jeannie and I behaved really well almost all the time. We were very good kids. We remember going to concerts from the time we were very young, and we just needed one look from our mother, that look. And we would settle right down. And we were very respectful of our father. If he was playing somewhere, we knew that we should sit and listen. Anybody else, too. But he learned over driving, when we all got to pick a couple of 8-track tapes to have in the car, that we did not like John Coltrane. I know. My dad loved it, but he would get into these really outside solos, and Jeannie and I would just be like, oh, no, not Coltrane. So he learned over time he did not play the Coltrane while we drove along. But if we misbehaved in the car, he put in the Coltrane until we were good again. So that was my dad and his sense of humor. So thank you, everybody. I'm glad I got to share a couple of stories. There just were so many things about Dad that we wanted to share that we made a film. And if you can't see it or you can't hear it perfectly today, know that it will be up on YouTube. But this film is called Memories of You. And also we had a lot of people offer to play music or, do something for the service. But we thought we loved his music so much. We were all entranced with his music. So all the music that you're going to hear today is from my dad's career. On this film, inside we have a photo montage, and we have some music going the whole afternoon, and it's all performances that he did. And we just really hope that you enjoy hearing everything one more time. So I will sit and we will watch this, and again, if anybody on the live stream can't see it well, just know it will be on YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice warm welcome to Charlie Martyn. Let's hear it for Charlie. I didn't come up here to make a speech, but I would just like to say it was a pleasure for me to see all these young people here on this tour. It reminded me, 50 years ago, I decided to play this thing because I heard Benny Goodman. And it's taken me all around the world, and I'm very grateful for it. And I just thought I would come up and share a tune dedicated to all of you. The tune is called Memories of You.
Martyn was my father on the trip, but he was helpful. The advice wasn't always sound, but he always gave advice. Charlie, I love you. Where are you? Everywhere. Family. Always and wonders. Wonder if you remember that story. I heard Gene Winkler talk about last weekend about the bonding at the end of this group. I remember also Mary Livingston talking about being the youngest. There was some debate this evening. Well, other than the fact that I was the oldest, and I acknowledge it. And when I gave some of those toasts here again, I said I could not speak William's average because you're Americans, and you all had your own opinions and your own thoughts about what we were doing. But to this day, I recall saying to other Soviet groups, we frankly think this was the opportunity of a lifetime for us. So to the Michigan Boom, here's to us, we're the best. Here. It is going to be great pride that Leanna and son would have done us in the school we stood in there. Thus, the 1961 University of Michigan put down into the Hall of Fame and presents with the word to Charlie Martyn accepting on behalf of all of the school. Congratulations, honored by a great university is unparalleled, just like our children. As you conscious that, it is an honor again to represent you with such a unique acknowledgement. Seemingly, you're all in the right place, at the right time, for the right reason. But what we do is not being done previously, and cannot ever be duplicated. I'm going to drink a toast to the lady in my life who you all know stayed home and had that daughter of ours. And this is to Ruth. And for those of you that meet her now at these events, 30 years and I'm still in love with a lady, and we're going to keep it up. So here's to you. You're the greatest. Well, I'm here and the door's open. I'll just get in here. I don't know what he's doing, but he's walking. Tomorrow he will climb El Capitan. Over the prison walls I would fly. How am I? Like the wings of an angel. Hi there, number one. That's my IQ. Nothing's changed.
Coming out of our room after a successful fishing day.
Made my day. The whole deep section here. And I didn't wear my robe.
I know, we all know. Say it again, Dr. Martyn, please.
Dr. Martyn Pink, I presume. What's the film director?
Easy too. Oh, Sarah. An action shot of Charlie. A lot of talk, not much action.
Living the good life. I
Living-
just did 12 miles on my bicycle.
Daddy. Wait.
I'll flash for you.
Oh.
Beautiful Washington. Welcome to Yellowstone.
want to say thank you to my husband, Joe, for making that film. And there's just a couple things I wanted to mention too. This film ended with My Way. And my dad did it his way until the very end. And I just want to share one other story about him, because this one says it all to me. There's so many things that do that, but this one does too. He was in the rehab, and he had had a decline in his health, and he was really not feeling well. And I went in one day, and we had a lot of up and down times, and he had some suffering. He was lucky he didn't have that really until the end, but he suffered. And it bothered me to see that, like it would bother anybody to see someone they love suffer. And I went in one day, and he was laying in the bed, and nothing had really changed for him. But I greeted him and gave him a kiss and told him I was there, and he woke up and he started singing a song. And the song was, I'm a lucky guy. I'm a lucky guy, and I want you to know it. I was like, I never heard this song, Dad. He said, I conducted this in a musical at San Francisco State. And I started calculating, that was like 70 years ago. I never heard that song. Does anybody know what that song is? You know the song. I looked it up on YouTube. I couldn't even find the song. He had this amazing tonal memory, and he was laying there, not well, singing about what a lucky guy he was. And then he launched into the same thing that you heard him say over and over and over again. I had such a good life, and I got to spend it with the woman I love. And that was the only thing that mattered to him, really. I mean, he had a lot of other things that mattered, family and everything, but really, my mom was number one in his life, and he always told us that he decided that the best thing you could ever do for your children was love their mother, and he did, to endless love. So thank you for that, Dad. My husband is now going to read a quote that meant a lot to my dad, that he had up in his office, and we all knew this was just something that mattered to him.
This is a quote from Theodore Roosevelt from April 23rd, 1910. It's called "The Man in the Arena." It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt, 23rd, 1910.
Thank you, Joe. And the next person I want to introduce is my brother-in-law, Bill. And Bill, growing up in West Virginia, actually met my dad when he was in high school. So he knew him kind of longer than almost anybody else here, except our family. And Bill was his student, became his son-in-law, and his colleague. And the only thing that I feel like we missed out on was Bill getting to be his friend, because he was so excited about Bill moving out here so they could spend all this time together, because he loved loved Bill, and he wanted to have another band director to hang around with, and Bill being here was like the best thing. So I introduced Bill, and he's going to talk a little, and then he's going to introduce someone else for us.
I was thinking the other day that I've known Charlie Martyn for about 49 years. Which makes me kind of old. And I know him since I was in high school with the Invitational Band Club. And then went there. And my high school band director, I wondered where to go, and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "The best band director, best trumpet teacher." He said, "We'll go to Tech. Terry Rich is the best trumpet. And Charlie Martyn's best band director." And he said, "If you can't get through the classes, you can marry his daughter." You know, I chose to be a part of this family. It wasn't something I had to do, and it was always fun. And I was thinking the other day, football season is coming up, and we'd always bet on the Michigan Notre Dame game. Michigan to be a 40-point favorite, and he'd still want points. Always. So, but as I look back, they said, pick a couple of stories to share. What some of you don't know about Charlie is, you saw the conductor, but he was just as at ease with a fourth grade band as a college or university group. Can relate to everybody that way. He had a look that would make you happy, and a look that would make you fear leaving the room. So I felt both looks. They were loads of fun. The only story I can think of is when Ruth and Charlie would come to visit, he would play at church. We were doing when the Saints go marching in. The choir director thought he was a saxophone player. So he looked at Charlie and said, "Well, do something with it, just whatever you want." I went, "Oh God." So at the end, the choir director stopped. He said, "Well, we'll never do this piece again." And we didn't. So, you know, when he passed away, I put on the Facebook, teacher, mentor, best band director I ever knew, second most influential man in my life, and friend. And I was watching part of the Michigan band. And remember that in West Virginia, he got kids who might know 4 scales. Didn't have any idea who Benny Goodman was. Didn't know who William Ravelli was. And I thought about that it's pretty easy to have a band when you've got Don Sinta playing saxophone, Don Tyson playing trumpet, and Charlie Martyn playing clarinet. He didn't have that at Tech. He had a bunch of us who were, you know, we're used to playing football band, concert band maybe a little bit, but he worked with us all and made us all better. And at one point in time, in one of our counties in West Virginia, every band director was one of his kids. And it was a wonderful thing to see. So, I'm very thankful for that. The big reason I'm up is to introduce the next speaker, who was one of his favorite students. One of his favorite saxophone students. And just a great band director in her own right. So very fortunate to be able to call her friend, Harriet Cooper.
Wow. How do I follow Julie, this video, and even Bill? I don't. Bill and I started at Tech at the same time. It was very unique for me to start there because I wasn't the first saxophone player from my family who was at Tech. I had a cousin who started. He graduated in 77 and I started in 77. So Doc had Cooper saxophone player for 8 years, which is amazing in itself. Julie talked a lot about West Virginia, and so did Bill. And we were bumpkins. I promise that I speak more clearly now than I did then, and you'll find out about that in a minute. But he created a band. We made music. He created a jazz band. We made more music. We traveled all kinds of places where people like us would have never gotten to go. And it was amazing. And not only that, now did he fuss at us and, yell at us and lots of things like that? Absolutely, positively. They mostly yelled at Bill, but that's okay.
He never did that.
Never yelled at Bill. Damn it, Bill. But we were not only welcomed into the college, into the band, but we were welcomed into the family. And there's not a single one of us that does not feel connected to Charlie Martyn and to Ruth Martyn, who, by the way, is a saint. I love this woman. She's fabulous. Our people have gone out into the music field. There's a great deal of us who did. I think I did an okay job. But there's a bunch of us who took this legacy on and shared it with younger people. And our family, that's what I call us, our family is so tight that you had to do something with it. And one of our friends passed away. And there was a group of us standing there at a funeral, and Gary Jones looked at me and he said, "We've got to stop meeting like this." And it pleases me to know that that became an idea in my mind, and I had so many people helping me with this, that every 2 years from that moment on, we have a reunion of our family, of our tribe. And Doc and Ruth came several times. One of the video towards the end that looked like a picnic, that was us. And we all were so saddened. I mean, we call each other and we go, "What do you say? What do you say?" He was a father figure to us, coming from where we came from. And we loved that man, even when we hated that man. We loved that man. And I feel so pleased to say this. Now, change of subject, turn the page. I was assigned to tell about the Docisms. Okay? Now, I need for you to forgive my graphic language, because it was the way that it was shared to us back in the day, before the day, before the day. Okay? The Docisms were phrases that taught us helped us to correct something, or to focus on something, or to figure out how stupid we were and not do that again. One of the things he was particularly fond of saying this to his woodwind players: "I'm tired of hearing your pablum hoo-ha," which pablum hoo-ha is baby milk. So, in other words, keep playing better. Are you playing on an E flat for Norton? Come on, play out. When we were marching and we were doing it badly, he said, I didn't tell you to do the Cabin Creek crawl. And the Cabin Creek is one of those places in West Virginia. If it looked like it was going to rain, he would stand up on the podium and he would say, I control the weather. Keep marching. Bill, you have to demonstrate this one, okay? You're going to demonstrate because I told you to. He said, I can conduct inside a dime. That's exactly what he did. He said, I'm just an SOB, a sweet old bandmaster. He also said, I am a benevolent curmudgeon. Don't slam the damn door. If you are not 15 minutes early, you're late. If we were running late, he would say, just 15 more minutes, just 15 more minutes, keep playing. We had to practice. We as a band were not allowed to practice on the AstroTurf. So we had to practice on this parking lot, which was 1/3 the size of a football field. And so we had to tell the people, the higher ups at Tech, that the cars could not remain parked on this parking lot because we couldn't march around them. There was a car on the parking lot, and Doc said, if I turn my back and that Volkswagen moves, great. And he did, and it did, and there it went. Your back still hurts. This is for Julie. You can't play shy with a piccolo. Play out even if you play something wrong, which we often did. It seems like we had wrong. One of his words was pitsy-boo, pitsy-boo, pitsy-boo. When we were playing like we didn't know how to play. Okay. I'm not going to say that. Okay. We had a couple of cheers that were, these were politically correct, I think. We had repel them, make them relinquish the ball. Y'all. The referee has no father, the referee has no father. Okay. Now for some stories. I'm here for the laughter. Okay. We did a show which was the Tech Bear meets Mickey Mouse. And he was playing the Mickey Mouse. We were playing, the Mickey Mouse theme was playing. But we had to sing at the end, the Mickey Mouse part, which we did not, and we got severely frowned upon. We sang MARTYNOUSOD. And then there was the genie story. We have a genie, now we have a genie story, which is funny. Jeannie was a little bit younger than me. Not much, a little bit. And she went on a tour with us where we were touring high schools around the state. And we did a concert in Ridgewood. All the boys had to stay in one place and all the girls had to stay in another. Now keep in mind, we were college kids, okay? Couple of the girls had, something special to drink. And some of us didn't. I was good then, but I took a picture that is somewhere at my house. I'll find it for you. We took a picture of Miss Jean laying across the bed with the Cincinnati Red baseball hat, like those ones you got at Dairy Queen, and she had a liquor bottle beside her. Let me tell you the tongue lashing that my friend Leanne and I got for that, because we were corrupting Miss Jean. Individual lessons were particularly hard and stressful for people. And our friend Joe Wright came out of a lesson. He happened to be standing there, and he stands there and pulls his checkbook out of his back pocket. And we said, Joe, what are you doing? He said, I thought my name was Joe Wright. I was just checking to see if it wasn't God damn it, Joe. Okay. As I told you, we would come back to my language skills. When I first got there, I had the McDowell County drawl. You know, we all talk just like this. And it took a while for me to get used to that. And I went into my first saxophone lesson and I was talking to Doc just like this. And then the lesson was over and I came out and my friend Leanne walked in after that. He looked at Leanne and he said, she's your roommate, right? She said, yeah, why? He says, do you understand her? Because I can't understand a goddamn word she said. Okay, I have just one more story. You know, as the comedian I am, I appreciate you guys being here on behalf of the family, on behalf of my adopted family, who I love better in life. I rode in a car for 4 days and helped Jeannie drive with Bill and the cat in the back. I must love this family. There's only one. Talk real fast. My friend Leanne had gone into a saxophone lesson and she had not practiced. He said, did you practice? She said, yes. He said, get your stuff and come with me. So she followed him out. He took her up to the mezzanine in the building, which was where the practice rooms were. And he opened the door of the practice room and he said, Leanne, meet practice room, Leanne. And he locked her in the room until and then said, you can come out when you can play. So, thank you very much. I'm here all week.
Thank you, Harriet, for driving all the way here and getting them moved. Thank you. And for your fabulous memories. I'm going to ask my cousin Vance to come up. He wanted to say a few words about my dad. Vance is from San Francisco, which was the city on the hill that my dad never stopped missing. And Vance has a special place in all of our hearts, but especially in my dad's, because he works so hard to be here, to be with us, not just now, but over the years, he's spent a lot of time with us. And you know, if you want those relationships in your life to work, you have to commit and put the time in. And Vance has always done that, always been there for all of us. So thank you, Vance.
Thank you. I guess everyone can hear me.
I got it.
It's good? Good. Well, is that good?
Yeah, better.
Good. Thank you. Well, this is where it all started. I remember my father said, my brother Charlie is coming out to visit us. This is in south of San Francisco, California. Well, Charlie arrived. We greeted. We all gathered in the living room. And I sat across from Charlie, just staring at him. I just stared at my uncle. I mean, he was wearing a suit, tie. He looked important. You know, people usually wore a suit at that time. They did something, in charge of something. I just stared at Charlie. Charlie looked at me and says, "Well, how are you, young man?" Delayed probably a couple seconds, and I said, "I'm okay." And at that time, my mom interrupted or intervened and just picked up another story. Well, that was a brief visit. Charlie said his goodbyes, and of course this was in the evening, and he went on his way. That was the first trip, and the impression of Charlie was, I was a little mesmerized. My uncle. Well, second trip, I think Charlie returned with his wife Ruth and another business trip, and then he left soon after that. And there was another visit. That later visit, he returned with his daughters and Ruth, of course, and meet our family. And I became more familiar with my uncle. I felt at ease with him. He would tell us stories about my father and him, going places in San Francisco. They had, when you compare the two, my father and his brother, their mannerisms were similar. Not all the time, but they were two different people, and I was keenly aware of that. I was observing, I watched them. And I felt comfortable enough to tell Charlie of some of the adventures and exploring my brother and I would do. And, Charlie began to listen. He would stare at me. He would sit down and listen to us both tell stories about going on to USS Steel property. This was an area in south of San Francisco where they built the Liberty ship, World War II battleship, USS Oregon. And it was a great place for a young teenager who wanted to explore and get a sense of adventure. And Charlie listened. My brother would tell him what we would do, and we would come back home with gas masks, army helmets, and bayonets. Dad wasn't really too proud of that. He only discovered us playing with all that World War II stuff, and telling my Uncle Charlie in more depth and detail. And Charlie just really looked down and was staring at me. The way he was looking at me and my brother was almost not a pleased look, but he had the same look my father looked when they're doing something we weren't supposed to do. And then Charlie I was like, looked at my uncle, and I was like, oh, shit, I think I said too much. And Charlie responded, he said, "That's the same stuff you and your dad and I used to do." Well, Charlie he kind of smiled and chuckled like that. He shared and he felt at ease with my uncle. You can tell him about the things that we would do. He had a charm about him. And that's what I felt comfortable with. And we had conversations with our family, and there was other visits along down the way. And talking with my uncle, he helped me understand in a way my father would help understand him. That's the thing about Charlie. He made you feel at ease, and you can talk with him just about anything. I like to feel, Charlie didn't leave completely. Some good part of him is still here.
Thank you, Vance. And you're right. He lives on in all of us in some way. However, he was with someone, it will always be in our hearts and in our minds. And for that, we are so grateful. Vance and my dad also shared a great love of Drambuie and other things and had a really good time together. So we thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our last little moment today, well, I need to tell you, first of all, that we had this place for his memorial because this was my dad's favorite restaurant. And he would either refer to it by name or he would say, the Italian joint. We're going to all go to the Italian joint. And in his last weeks, all he talked about was wanting to have a party. And he wanted to come here, and he wanted to bring everybody here. So he's in our hearts, and he's with us here and everywhere else, and we all remember that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak today, has some words they would like to mention? It's okay if you don't, but if anybody did, you're more than welcome. All right, our last bit of music. Wait, does that you want to say something, Mom? Okay. Our last bit of music is my dad's rendition of Flight of the Bumblebee. So we're going to listen to a Flight of the Bumblebee, and then there's lots of great food for lunch inside, so go ahead and get your plate and come back out. There's a ton of things, so enjoy the food. And Joe is telling me to remind everybody that all the music that's playing inside is it's all my dad at some time or another. There's just this giant playlist of music, and there's a TV screen that has a montage of photos, and all that will be on YouTube at some point, so it'll all be there. All right, are we ready?
Ready? Stay back there.
I think Joe has one other thing to say.
I'd never heard that before, and as we were playing that, somebody in the family told the story that somebody asked him, "Why are you playing that so fast?" And he said, "Because I can." And so that's why we played it for you today, because we could.
Thank you so much, everybody. And now manja. There's lots of good food, so enjoy and have a good afternoon. And thank you for being with us.
Go in there
Yeah, and being set up by the phone. And then she can pick it up. Yeah. You want to sit over here?
Actually, great. Perfect.